Hello everyone. Today we are going to be taking a look at the final part of chapter 3 of Baby It's Cold Outside. Because the chapter is so short, we are going to talk about some writing tips and some things that I do to get out of writer's block. So let's get into it. For some context, Maggie is back in Daniel's room. They've just had a bit of a disagreement. Daniel is distancing himself from her, and Maggie is getting ready to settle down and read because she's upset too, and she's kind of just trying to get a break from Daniel and all of his strange attitudes. But we are seeing some cracks in Daniel's perfect facade. Okay, here we go. Once ready, she dove into the book and began to relax and enjoy herself. She recognized the writing style of the author as something very much like an author whose books she'd read once but totally forgotten to continue since leaving university. Astonished by the familiarity of the novel, she turned to the back to the About the Author section and gasped in amazement, casting the book from her. There, in the corner of the back cover, laying open on the floor, was a picture of a smiling Daniel Rory Winthrop, next to the words New York Times best-selling author, followed by his name and some vague information about him. Maggie was shocked to her core. She reached for the book again, thinking that she must be mistaken, when there was a knock at the door. "Maggie," he called gently. She was too stunned to reply. The man outside of her door had been one of her favorite authors when she still had time to read before she took a job with the Myron and Meyer Decor franchise. "Maggie," he called again. "I'm sorry I upset you. I didn't mean to. I just..." He sighed. "Supper's ready, and I just wanted to know if you wanted some." In that moment, Maggie realized how dark it had actually gotten and was surprised that her eyes had adjusted so well to the darkness. He knocked once more. "Are you awake?" Yes, she called back. "I'll be out in a minute." "Okay." It was followed by the sound of receding footsteps. She then leaned forward and tried to reach out to get the book, but only managed to fall off the bed in an awkward position. Luckily, she didn't land in a position that could injure her foot further. "Ouch!" she shouted, and Daniel rushed in to help her. "What the hell happened?" he asked angrily as he picked her up from the floor and placed her back on the bed while she rubbed her hip, which she was sure would bruise. "I was trying to get to my chair." She swallowed at the half-truth. "But I fell." Daniel turned and saw the chair a few feet away from the bed and moved to get it in the darkness when he felt his foot knock against something. "What the?" he asked and picked up what turned out to be a book. As his eyes adjusted to the darkness, he could clearly make out a picture of himself on the inside of the back cover. He huffed and turned a glare on her. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry, but when I'm angry I usually calm down with a book, and those were all I could find," she finished lamely, wide-eyed. He sighed and pinched the bridge of his nose with his right hand. "So now you know who I am," he sighed. "I suppose it would have happened sooner or later." "Yeah," she said, and averted her eyes, feeling as if she were in the presence of a rock star. "Is there anything you'd like to say to me before we have dinner?" He sounded a little testy, and she was sure she could guess why. He didn't seem to enjoy the public eye very much, which made the cabin in the middle of nowhere and him not having a phone make sense. "I could tell you that I'm a huge fan and that I'd love your autograph." "But that would be a lie," she said softly. "Oh?" Daniel arched an eyebrow. She noted that he seemed pleasantly surprised. "Okay, you are one of my favorite authors, but I think the ending of Return was just horrible. What sane woman would take back a man that cheated on her with her sister twice?" she asked, recalling the ending in the book of his she hated the most. He grinned at her. "Don't forget that Abby was blackmailing her sister because she wanted her husband. Derek loved his wife and wanted to protect her secret." Maggie snorted derisively. "I've never heard of such a thing. He thought she was more attractive than his wife, even though he knew she was evil. There was no way he just wanted to protect his wife." She made air quotes. Daniel chuckled. "Maybe, but a man in love could surprise you." He brought her chair closer to her and helped her into it. "Well, I've never met a man truly in love, so I'm sure I'd be surprised," she replied with a hint of bitterness in her voice. Daniel barked out a laugh and wheeled her toward the lounge. You, Maggie, surprise me. She could hear the smile in his voice as he said that. I'll take that as a compliment, so thank you. He chuckled once more as she gasped at the feast he'd made for them, and of course, a fresh pot of that delicious coffee. The rest of the evening was spent in wonderful conversation about books, characters and movies, along with the scrumptious meal and soothing coffee. That evening, Maggie became certain that her attraction to him was becoming something more than physical, which made her even more determined to discover what his secret was, so she laced the conversation with simple questions which could tell her more about what she wanted to know. By morning, she was sure she would uncover the mystery that day. Okay, that was the end of chapter 3. So, here's some background about me and my writing process. I love writing with music. I just love it. I mostly like listening to lo-fi because it's just not that intrusive in my process and it just hits just right. I will recommend my writing playlist in the card at the end of the video. But my writing playlist is available on my channel, and if you want to check that out, I'd love it. It's filled with like Jackson Wang and some Doja Cat, I think, and there's just a whole bunch of other stuff. Lately I'm listening to Tyler the Creator, and all of the music that I'm listening to just hits at that sweet spot that just helps keep my creative juices flowing and keeping me writing for longer. So that's kind of why I write with music, and also because I've never ever enjoyed a movie with complete silence in it. I could never do that, and I don't think any of us could. So to me, it kind of makes sense that when the scenes are playing out in my head, I kind of need some background music. So that's why I write with music. Then most often, story ideas come from dreams or just interesting theories. But really, a story idea can come from anywhere. They can come to you from reading the news, or from a personal situation, from YouTube videos, or from a phrase or a hypothetical. Really anything. Someone could just say something and I'll think, ooh, that would make a really cool story. But most of the time, I'll have a crazy dream and go, yes, I need to write that down. And that's where a lot of my ideas came from. There is a story that I'm going to be publishing on Sunday. I haven't finished it yet, but it's a work in progress as well, called Elementals. Book 1 is Fire, and that one came to me from a dream. I think Under the Mistletoe came to me from a dream. Baby It's Cold Outside, I think, might have also come from a dream. But most of the stuff that I write comes to me from dreams. Okay. Well, when I have writer's block, I tend to download a writing challenge app on my phone, and then I try to do that. If I don't complete it, I'm not too stressed about it because it's just there to help me get my creativity flowing again. I don't really want to take on some more responsibility when I haven't finished something else yet, so I try not to stress too much about it. It's just a launching platform for me. So what I do is I will take on the daily writing challenge and then set a time limit for each task or each challenge that's in the thing that we have to do on a daily basis, right? And the time frame that I will do is could be anywhere from 20 minutes to 1 hour. Just depends on what I feel like. And it's really just to get me going again. So I don't have to edit it or publish online. It's just for me. But if I feel that I want to, then I just post it online. You know, sometimes feedback also can get your creativity flowing. So that's all I do. I edit my own work like most of the writers that I know out there. I don't try to change the story. I just change the spelling and sentence structure if I feel that they need change. I also try to keep track of continuity issues while I'm editing. So if one character said something 5 chapters ago, I need to know that it doesn't affect decisions that are happening later on or parts of the story, and also need to try and keep that consistent. So that consistency is really important, and making sure that things don't clash in the present with things that happened in the past is really important for me. Okay, now as a stay-at-home mom, it can be really hard to write in the daytime, so I often have to give up some sleep to get some writing and editing done. It sucks, but it's the way it is if you want to have your children with you and not put them into like a creche or something, or I think Americans call it like kindergarten or something, the first chance that you get. Now, I know that the pandemic interfered with that choice for a lot of people, but for me, I have always wanted to see my kids grow up for the first few years. That unfortunately means giving up some sleep in order to write or make videos or edit anything, and it's just how it is. If anybody else knows how to make that better or how to manage that more effectively, please let me know. But I've noticed that when I start writing in the afternoon, during my son's afternoon nap, he will wake up and then I'll be stuck in the middle of trying to finish a sentence or a thought or a phrase and be completely thrown off. And it really sucks. So I have to stay up late to write. Anyway, it's good to have a basic outline of what your story is and what the outcome of your story is before you start. There's a saying out there that goes, begin with the end in mind. And I try to flesh out my characters in my mind, then move as much info about them onto character sheets or lists that I make on Microsoft Word, and do a basic story outline, like what's the beginning of the story, what's the main action or task that needs to be tackled, and then what's the conclusion, what is the ending. So I already know from the beginning, I don't know if a lot of other people do this, but I already know from the beginning where it's going to end up. And it really helps keep me focused, and it helps me to not digress too much while I'm trying to write, and it helps me not move away from the story too much while I'm trying to be creative. It is also good to write a to-do list for each chapter so that you know what your characters need to accomplish or what the story needs to accomplish in that chapter. For example, with Baby It's Cold Outside, the chapter that we just read now, we are starting to see a little bit more of Daniel and Maggie interacting, and a little bit more of their history or Daniel's history, and we're getting some hints about his character and about Maggie's character. So you just do, what I like to do is like a to-do list where I'll say Daniel and Maggie have breakfast, check the times for that, or to make sure that the sun is up when they are eating breakfast and the sun is down when they're eating supper, and you know what I mean, those kind of things. The continuity thing really comes in when you do that checklist, so that you can make sure that things are flowing smoothly. Right. Then I think it's always a good idea to ask as many people as you can to read your stuff, even if it's NSFW. In my experience, people want to read your NSFW stuff a lot more than they want to read your like regular vanilla romance. Let's just say I have rekindled many a relationship by sending them my short story, Don't Play With My Heart, which is available on Wattpad. Wink wink, nudge nudge. Anyway, there is a saying that goes something like, read, write, think, and file every day if you want to be a writer. Goes something like that. I'm not sure who said it. Tried to check it out, but I couldn't find it. If you know, maybe you can let me know in the comments. But anyway, I think that this is true. If you want to write, you have to read. I always feel that my writing is more colorful and my world feels more real to me when I make time to read. I don't know about you, but the best retreat a writer can have is to read a book when you're feeling overwhelmed about your own work or when you have writer's block. I definitely recommend trying to read some stories on Wattpad of other writers and trying to build a supportive relationship with them on social networks. Me, I am on Twitter, and I have noticed that the writing community on Twitter has been amazing so far. Everyone has just been overwhelmingly kind and helpful and supportive. People are constantly doing writers' lists to support other people and reading their work. And, you know, sometimes you follow people on Twitter and read their stuff, and they even do the same for you, and you can build some relationships with them. People are just really good as part of the writing community on Twitter. A for away. I absolutely love it. You know, feedback can be such a terrifying thing to get because you are hoping that people will read your novel, your book, your short story, your work in progress. And you just hope that someone's going to go, hey, I actually kind of like this, or hey, this is good. But the real terror in your heart is like, ew, what is this disgusting thing on the internet? And oh, that's awful, you know? So building a relationship with people on Twitter or any other social media platform where there's a writing group can really help boost your confidence and just motivate you to keep going. It is so important that us as writers stick together, support each other, read each other's work, upvote, comment, talk about things that we didn't like or didn't enjoy, or things that characters did, and so that we can get some feedback from writers and that we can support each other. And really, it's really good on Twitter. And sometimes people suggest books that you should read, that they've read, that they think you might be interested in, and they talk to you about their personal experiences with writing and getting the voice of the characters through to you. I feel that it's really, really great, the writing community on Twitter. It's really, really great, and it has writers of all ages, races, ethnicities, genders, types of writing, and they all just connect on Twitter. Okay, our scripture of the day comes from Genesis 8, verse 1 to 2 of the World English Bible, which says, God remembered Noah, all the animals, and all the livestock that were with him in the ship. And God made a wind to pass over the earth. The waters subsided. The deep's fountains and the sky's windows were also stopped, and the rain from the sky was restrained. What I feel God is saying here is that relief is coming. You may have felt that your head was underwater for a while, the flood may have come, and you may have felt that you were drowning, but God has remembered you and yours, and those waters are now getting ready to subside. Amen. Thank you, God. I hope that little love note from God brings you peace and comfort while you are going through your situation. God always hears you, and He will bring you to a time of rest and refreshing where you can get your strength back up again. Anyway, thank you for listening. If you liked my video, please be sure to send me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching again. Have a great day. Bye.